Well, it's unfortunate that we like to label people.
Yeah.
But we do. And I'm going to tell you what I think it's based in. Core of this is fear.
Yeah.
It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of change. It's fear that we're losing our culture. It's a fear that we're losing our dominance. And I don't, that's not a CRT code word. But the truth is the dominant culture is dominated by people who will soon be in the minority.
Yeah.
And across the nation. So there is a real pressure there that I think would be foolish to ignore. But the culture is having its impact on us. But how are we responding to it? Because I've been so involved in conservative resurgence and conservative theology throughout all of my ministry, when I came under conviction that in a city that is deeply divided racially, I needed to address the issue. I needed to get engaged and be very intentional about how we seek to bring what the Bible calls biblical racial reconciliation. And so when I started doing that, boom, I'm woke. And I'm going, wait, what do you mean I'm woke? And originally that term was a very positive term used by African Americans. To say some people finally understand something, but it's now become a pejorative, and it's used because I think people are afraid. And I'll tell you what I've learned about reconciliation. It's so valuable. And again, I'm in a city that has a very difficult history, but we're seeing progress and we're seeing God do something. I was at a meeting earlier today with my members of this thing that we've formed here called the Pledge Group. And we're part of a ministry called Shrink the Divide, where we're constantly trying to bring people together and for the sake of the gospel and only the gospel. And so as we've done this, though, I get called a liberal. Well, how is that liberal? It's Jesus.
Yeah.
And the reality is it's a way of people addressing something that they are terrified of. I was terrified of it because there's years I didn't engage in that. A couple of reasons. I was afraid of I had a theological fear. What happens when you get with people who don't see eye to eye? Maybe they're into liberation theology. Maybe they're into something else. But what I've discovered is that's the most simple thing you don't have to be afraid of, because you have if you're at the table with someone, you bring influence, and you actually can encourage people with truth. And good people who believe in the truth can see the light. I've seen that happen. And the other thing too is that there's something amazingly powerful in our community when people see people dwelling together in unity. A lost world is not stupid. Yeah. They understand. Sometimes they know us better than we know ourselves, and they understand that Jesus taught very clearly that we're to be one. He prayed in John 17 that we would be one in the church the way he and the Father are one. Yes. So the wokeness is, again, one of those pejoratives, but I think also I would say in an answer to it that we all need to wake up.
Yeah. This
is the world we have, not the idealistic world of what we maybe thought we had at one time, which I'm not sure is true, or what we could have if we just elect the right person. What we got it, and let me say something else too. And I talk about this a lot, but just over a year ago, before the last election, I think it was the Washington Post had an article, and the article was about how 64% of Americans did not know, liberal, conservative, the whole spectrum, 64% of Americans did not know a single person who didn't vote like they voted. What they said was, what happens over time is people sort their lives in such a way, and you can almost see this in social media, where the algorithms will see what I like, or I watch, or I'm looking at truck advertisements. All of a sudden I started getting more truck advertisements. And so what happens is you maybe your church even becomes this, your small group or Sunday school becomes this, where everybody looks alike, thinks alike, and votes alike. And there's no divergence of opinion. There's no, listen, it's one thing, if everybody agrees with me, there's not gonna be a lot of conflict, but there's not gonna be any depth either. It's come, let us reason together. We have to work these things out. God intended it to be that way so that we would shine by being focused on what really matters. It doesn't matter if you and I don't think alike. What matters is what do we think about Jesus?
Yeah, that's good.